Living in a Western country during the consciousness shift brings several problems with it. I lived 7 months in India and Peru, and with these experiences, I could compare the lifestyle with the so-called Western countries. Of course, these countries have lots of comfort and are modern, but the prices of the rent grow and grow. But as downshifter since 10 years, I have tried several things, which I want to present in this video. Actually, and as you maybe know from my other videos, I'm more or less against material development. But friends opened me the eyes that even for meditators, the material development, comfort can be an advantage. Because whenever things get more easy in everyday life, the more machines are doing most of the work. We have more free time, and that means more time for contemplation. Of course, best case is still being contemplative while working, but here actually is the very first obstacle, because working is lots of entanglement. Time management, time pressure is a big disturbing factor for the meditation state, for the consciousness. But we will go in this disadvantage of work in a minute. Let's first look for further advantages, further pros for the Western world. And this is the cleanliness. In other countries, I saw that whenever I was in a forest or near a forest, it was pretty dirty. In some countries, even people think that the nature is just a place where they can bring their waste. So obviously, nature is a recycling place from the view of some people. But in modern Western countries, it's not the case. They really have modern recycling machines where they bring all their stuff, and the whole nature is more or less clean. And really, you can go and enjoy it. And there are pretty much more disadvantages. I will only name one more because this video is about a disadvantage. And the last advantage I want to say from the Western countries is the safety. Because raising the last point, in other countries, in Eastern countries, where the garbage is lying around, of course, you can enjoy nature if you go further, if you go deeper in the forest, if you go deeper on fields. But as women, it is often not easy. Even sometimes for single men, it can be dangerous when a group of people comes, of criminal people comes, because in some countries they are even outside of the cities. Whenever they see a single man on the field, which is not the farmer who works there, but is a person from another country, then it can happen that it gets dangerous. In the Western countries, women can, for meditation, always go in the nature, always feel safe wherever they are. They can go alone or for sports, for jogging, for wandering, for many activities. I was thinking that is only the case in Europe, where I come from, but when I saw it in America, when I once visited the USA, I saw the same thing. First, I was very shy and I didn't trust, but my uncle showed me, look, these women, they are going for their walk and hiking alone, and nobody is harming them. In most cases, of course. Exceptions are always possible. But as soon as I went to South America, it was again the opposite. There they said, as women never go alone in these places, unfortunately. So that were the main pros which I can see for meditators or for people who are going on this consciousness shift, also called spiritual awakening, however you name it. Important things is the safety in the nature, the clean nature, and the basic comfort in the everyday life, which spends us much more time. But now let's come to the time problem and to the work. All these advantages have their price. And that's why mostly people have to work in full time. Because these modern apartments, even oldish apartments, cost so much money that you have to work in full time. If you want a more modern one, you have to work even more than full time because it's like over expensive. Additionally, heating is a problem in the winter. Here there's another opposite side. It's good in most Western countries, you have the whole seasons. in extent. That means you can have a very cold winter, you can have a hot summer, you can have a beautiful spring, and you can even enjoy the autumn. Meditators are very aware about the beauty in the forest when all the leaves fall and all get other colors, and the beautiful sweet smell when the leaves fall from the trees. So you have all seasons and can experience them intensively, but in autumn and winter and even until spring sometimes, so like in many countries, you have to heat half a year, and it's very costly additionally. But the full-time job is not an opportunity, because then meditation is not really working most of the time. And when someone is working her whole lifetime, then it becomes a habit to work and to forget the meditation. And that's a pity. So the true development is not happening here. Still, the material development, which I sometimes criticize, is there, and everything is more comfortable. But the true development, which is always to decline the ego, the lower soul part, that the higher self can shine its whole beams. It's not that I say it's a development, that the ego gets something higher. The thing is that the higher self is actually there, but the ego is overwhelming it all the time. And when we are still entangled in a full-time job, surrounded by normal, also full-time working people who are always stressed, who are always sometimes even depressed. So what then to do? I was looking for solutions so many years. And for me, I could figure out that, of course, I fell out of the army. The burnouts and depression brought me out. And then I didn't know what to do. But my earlier plans were studying. And as I said, sometimes on my channel already, I studied. But not only to study more and to know more and to get this knowledge. And so this was not the aim, actually. There was a thing besides, and that was the scholarship. I wanted to live on the scholarship, and I didn't want to study so intensively, so heavy, so much in presence. But I just wanted more or less to enjoy the campus life, to slow down, to downshift. And in Europe, there is this Bologna rule that you don't have to participate in every lesson. You also can leave out some lessons and really can have the campus life and can meditate all the time and only visit few lessons. And this I really can recommend. But there are sometimes problems, because not everyone gets a scholarship. And many scholarships, or actually all scholarships, are bounded somehow. There are requirements, even afterwards. And from this, I just suffer now. And this drove me actually to make this video, because some scholarships you have to pay back after studying, or partially back after studying. And again, you're entangled in full-time job. Or somehow else. Another friend had another scholarship where she had to go for several lectures, not at the university, but political lectures. So she was entangled with a political party because they spent her the scholarship. It's also the silly entanglement, actually. So many scholarships have certain requirements, and they entangle us also more in this world, but again, only for the money as well as in jobs. And that's the problem. So what else? What many students do is to live at friends, to live at parents. But again, here is a problem in the Western world, which is never happening in other countries. And this is that people never share in the West. Sometimes, very seldom, they share with someone a room. But because of the high rent, nobody wants really to share. It's just too high. That's the problem. If you have to pay almost €1,000 or $1,000 for an apartment, for a small apartment, and then you share it with someone, Of course, you will ask if he gives you 500 or something. It's not that cheap, especially if a person wants to live with you in a room for a longer period of time. The same is with parents. We are all raised in the Western countries. Most of us have not the luck that the parents share their stuff with them. Most parents are kind of rejective and say, okay, now you're 18, you have to leave the house. Look that you get to study or that you get a job or something. Others respect that the children can live longer in the house, but it can happen that even the parents expect a small rent. So you have to pay even for the parents. And there is another thing, parents always try to influence someone. So if they see that you are not studying correctly and that you are more sitting on campus or sitting in like trying to meditate instead of studying, so they will also cause pressure, and you have a social pressure. So it's better to live with friends, but there also maybe you have to pay something, maybe half a rent. So whenever you go somewhere, the prices are so high that even the parents, in many cases, expects a small rent from their own children. People now maybe in Eastern countries will shake their head and say, oh my God, how can that be? Because as I know from India, most people share everything with their children. They share the car, they share the house, they share everything. But here they say you have to go and this is maybe coming from the capitalism, including the housing prices. So it looks really hopeless, and I'm actually curious how you think about that, or if you have already solutions for that, because I'm really thinking to leave everything here and to go to India or somewhere in long term. I have heard from paid volunteerings. Have you experienced with that? I would be curious to learn about that. Waiting for retirement is too long. Still, one has to work the whole life, and always being part of the work system is not the true part of the universe, is not the true part of the consciousness. Of course, we are all one in the consciousness, on the consciousness level. We are all one, we are all connected, but seeing it on a spiritual level. But what people try to establish, who were only after the material throughout hundreds, thousands of years, they developed companies, they developed workplaces where you are part of a system. But this is there you're only with your body a part of a work system. But this is not a true being part of something bigger, what religions call God. This is the true participation. And for that, one has to meditate and try to stay in contemplation actually the whole day. But the participation in the workplace is a big obstacle. I don't know if you have other ideas. I would be very curious to learn about them, and hope also that this video could give you some insights. Have a good day. See you soon. Bye.